Hi everyone, I am Ryan Miller. I teach at Washington Liberty High School, and I am one of the recipients from the Arlington Community Foundation for their STEM Workforce Development Teacher Fellowship, and I'm very grateful for the support. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the money and how it was used and applied in the project that I got into. Actually, I teach a GIS class, Geographic Information Systems class at Washington Liberty. It's a dual enrolled class where students, like these two right here, can get college credit from James Madison University for learning how to do geographic information systems work. I applied for the fellowship and was granted the fellowship and able to partner up with a local GIS company called Blue Raster. Blue Raster is a company that does work on GIS, geographic information systems, relative to lots of different types of federal projects, local projects, but they have a group of folks over there at Blue Raster that are really good to work with, very knowledgeable, and I spent time learning from them throughout the fellowship time. I ended up learning how to use something called Survey 123 on the desktop version, and we were able to create a tool that we could use in class to collect data. We have taken that tool, and I was able to take the knowledge I got at Blue Raster and apply it to different classroom projects. And I wanted to talk briefly about a couple of the projects that we had done already with the fellowship support, and some of the projects that are current right now happening here at Washington Liberty. The first project I wanted to speak about was a project where we went and collected data on the sound of the 17-year cicadas that were prevalent all over Arlington here back in the spring. And for that project, these are two students that I had last year and have this year. This is Amelia, and this is Tommy, and they were able to collect some data. Can you speak a little bit, Amelia, about the project, about going out and collecting some of the cicada data?
Yeah, so last year in my environmental systems class, Mr. Miller taught us some GIS skills, and every student was able to go out using the Survey 123, and we'd go to our designated areas, and for not even a minute, we'd take a recording of the sound, and then we would comment on what we thought about that. And it was very beneficial because we got to learn a lot about GIS as well as Survey 123. And then also in the future, we can apply the GIS skills and survey skills to like different classes and majors possibly.
All right, cool. Thank you. And let me just talk a little bit about that project for a moment. I'm going to share my screen here and go over a couple of the things we found and the results that were uncovered. The students went out and collected data all over Arlington on the sound of the cicadas and how intense that sound was. And these recordings then were brought back, and through the skills I learned at Blue Raster, we were able to literally get them together, bring them together, and then start analyzing them to see if there were higher or more intense cicada sounds versus areas that may not have had as many intense cicada sounds. Bottom line, the hypothesis was this. Arlington, over the last 17 years, has seen incredible amounts of development. And Arlington County was able to actually share with me the land disturbance permits that were issued over the last 17 years. So when you're looking at the screen right now, each one of those green dots in Arlington is a land disturbance permit that was issued over the last 17 years. And so the hypothesis was if the land was disturbed, then the larvae for the 17-year cicadas will ultimately get impacted, probably killed, and we wouldn't have as intense a cicada sound in the locations where the land disturbance permits were the most dense. Well, we did an analysis, and thanks to the folks at Blue Raster for teaching me how to do this, the areas you see on the map that are in red have the highest density of the land disturbance permits over the last 17 years. The other dots that you see here, the ones that are in the maroon and the blue, are the locations where we took data on the intensity of the cicada sounds. And if you'll notice, the areas in green, for the most part, have the maroon circles, which indicate the maximum intensity of cicada sounds. And where they had the higher density of building permits issued and land disturbance that occurred, actually the cicada sounds were a little bit lower, or very little intensity was detected. This was done and quantified through the use of a tool that analyzed spectrograms. And actually, our hypothesis that we came up with last spring of land disturbances, and the more land disturbances impacting cicada sounds actually is showing up here in a pattern on the map. So that was one of the projects that we were able to figure out and work with. And because of the support of the Arlington Community Foundation, these skills I have obtained and have started using in my classes regularly. And I wanted to speak about that for just a moment. And so I'd like to invite Tommy to talk a little bit about how the skills I learned translated into activities that we're doing this year in class, which was one of the things in my GIS class, a cell phone use study. We see drivers all over Arlington using mobile devices, and we were able to do a survey of that. Tommy, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. We looked at the areas around the Washington Liberty High School, and we looked at the percentage of drivers that were using mobile devices while driving. So we went out in pairs, and one person counted the total number of cars, and the other person counted the number of cars with drivers using mobile devices while driving. And we used Survey 123 to record these results and incorporate them into a GIS dashboard.
And the dashboard is what you see right here. It's a tool you can build. It's an application that allows anybody to go out and start surveying with mobile devices. And we were surveying mobile device use with mobile devices. And in real time, as the students were collecting data all around the high school, we were able to identify locations where there were actually higher amounts of cell phone usage during driving times. And the areas that are in the maroon color right here along Washington Boulevard had a higher percentage of vehicle operators using mobile devices. Suffice it to say, the support of the Community Foundation was really, I'm grateful for it, and I think it was certainly applicable to what we're doing here at WNL, and I'm trying to translate some of these skills that I obtained this past summer into 21st century skills that the students can take with them when they graduate. So thank you to the Arlington Community Foundation for your support, and we do appreciate it. I appreciate it. I know the students appreciate it, and I hope this gives a little bit of a preview of how the money was spent and how I was able to obtain training. Thank you so much.